My name is Claire. I'm 42. I live alone now in a small house on the edge of a quiet suburb in Colorado. The garden I once tended so carefully is overgrown. Wild roses climbing the fence, lavender gone to seed, weeds pushing through the cracks in the stone path. I haven't pulled a single one in almost 2 years. My alarm still rings at 6:15 every morning, even though no one needs me to rush out the door anymore. I make coffee the same way Daniel liked it, black, strong, no sugar. I sit at the kitchen table and stare at the empty chair across from me, the one that used to be his. The one where he read the news on his tablet every Sunday morning while the kids slept in. Daniel was my husband for 19 years. Not perfect. Stubborn about directions. Snored like a freight train. Loved terrible dad jokes that made the children groan and me laugh despite myself. We met at 23 in a small bookstore cafe downtown. I was reading a poetry collection I didn't fully understand, pretending to look thoughtful. He asked if the seat opposite me was taken. I said no. We talked for 3 hours about books, bad coffee, dreams we hadn't told anyone else yet. 4 years later, he proposed on the same bench outside that cafe, snow falling softly around us. I said yes with frozen fingers and a heart that felt too big for my chest. We built a life together. Sophie arrived when I was 25, Ethan 3 years later. Mortgage payments, soccer practices, family vacations to the mountains where we rented a cabin and pretended we knew how to fish. Arguments about whose turn it was to do laundry, about too much screen time, about whether we should repaint the living room again. Ordinary days, beautiful days, safe days. Then, 3 years ago, the ordinary cracked open. Daniel started feeling tired all the time. We blamed long hours at the engineering firm. Then came the cough that wouldn't leave. Then the doctor's appointment that led to scans, biopsies, the word cancer spoken quietly in a sterile room. Stage 4 lung cancer. No smoking history, no family predisposition, just cruel, random bad luck. The oncologist gave us 6 to 12 months with aggressive treatment. We got 4. Those 4 months were a long, slow nightmare. Hospital corridors that smelled of disinfectant and despair. Chemo sessions where I held his hand while poison dripped into his veins. Nights when he couldn't breathe without oxygen. Days when the kids came home from school and asked, "Is Dad better today?" And I had to lie with a smile. I quit my part-time job at the local library to stay home. I learned how to change oxygen tanks, how to give injections, how to pretend everything was going to be okay when we both knew it wasn't. One night, about 6 weeks before the end, Daniel woke me at 3 a.m. His breathing was shallow and labored. He reached for my hand in the dark. His skin was cold. "Claire," he whispered, "promise me something." I nodded, already crying. "Don't waste time. Not one more day. When I'm gone, live. Really live. Don't just exist. Don't let the kids see you shrink into yourself. Don't let this house become a museum of what we used to be. Go places, laugh loud, try things that scare you. You've spent too many years being careful. Be reckless with joy. For me. I promised. I meant it with every fiber of my body. Then he closed his eyes and didn't open them again for another 43 days. After the funeral, the house felt too big and too quiet. Sophie cried in her room with the door locked. Ethan stopped talking about soccer and spent hours staring at his phone. I moved through the days like a ghost, cleaning surfaces that were already clean, cooking meals no one finished, driving carpools, smiling when neighbors asked how we were holding up. "We're managing," I said. We weren't managing. We were surviving. Barely. Months passed. The kids went back to school. I went back to the library part-time. I folded laundry, paid bills, watered plants that were already dying. I told myself I was honoring Daniel by keeping things stable, by not falling apart in front of the children, by being the strong one they needed. Then, one afternoon, Sophie came home early from school. She found me sitting on the couch staring at a framed photo of the four of us at the lake 2 summers before. Daniel's arm around me, both kids making silly faces. She sat beside me, quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Mom, Dad wouldn't want this." I looked at her. She had his eyes, same hazel, same stubborn spark. "You're disappearing," she said softly. "We need you here, really here, not just physically moving through the house." That night, I couldn't sleep. I opened Daniel's nightstand drawer. Inside was the list he had written during his last hospital stay, handwritten on yellow legal paper in his careful, slanted script. 10 things he wanted me to do after he was gone. Take the kids to Iceland, see the northern lights. Learn to play guitar again. You stopped when the kids were born. Plant a real garden, not just annuals that die every winter. Say yes to something that scares you every single year. Travel alone at least once. Find out who you are without us. Forgive yourself for the times you weren't perfect. Laugh every day, even when it hurts. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Dance in the kitchen when no one's watching. Don't wait for permission to be happy. I stared at the list until the words blurred with tears. Then I cried the kind of deep, wrenching sobs I hadn't allowed since the funeral. When the crying finally stopped, something inside me shifted. Not all at once, not dramatically, but enough. The next morning, I called in sick to work. I drove to the music store downtown and bought a cheap acoustic guitar. I signed Sophie and Ethan up for a week-long summer camp they'd been begging to attend. I booked 3 tickets to Iceland for the following spring, Northern Lights tour included. I went to the garden center and bought lavender, peonies, Russian sage, perennials that come back every year no matter how cold the winter. I started saying yes. To a weekend hiking trip with old friends. To a pottery class where I was terrible and laughed until my stomach hurt. To a blind date that went nowhere, but I went anyway. I danced alone in the kitchen to the songs Daniel loved. I laughed at stupid memes with the kids until my face ached. I stopped apologizing for crying in public when a song came on the radio. I stopped saying, "I'm fine," when someone asked how I was. Some days are still very hard. I still reach for Daniel's side of the bed in the middle of the night. I still hear his voice when Ethan scores a goal or Sophie gets into college. Grief doesn't leave. It just learns to sit beside you instead of sitting on your chest every minute of every day. But I don't waste time anymore. I don't let days slip by in quiet autopilot. I don't postpone joy because it feels selfish or too soon. I don't apologize for taking up space, for laughing too loud, for crying in the grocery store, for saying no when I'm tired, for saying yes when I'm afraid. I'm 42. Half my life is behind me, maybe more. But the half ahead, I'm not giving it away. Not to fear, not to guilt, not to someday when things feel right. Daniel gave me the map. I'm finally following it. And every morning when I wake up, before I even open my eyes, I whisper the same thing to him. Thank you. I'm still here. And I'm not wasting a second.